Oh, time to overanalyze kids shows again.
Is overanalyze when you analyze over someone? Like how you're over me and you're analyzing?
No, you little idiot. It's when... Wait, you can talk?
You're videotaping the show. I do.
What's up, butt lovers? To make a long story short, and I did make a short about it, Stephen Kramer Glickman, aka Gustavo Rock from Big Time Rush, sent me this butt pillow.
And it's the peak of my career, okay?
I'm sure you already know today we're talking about Martha Speaks. Martha Speaks aired on PBS Kids from 2008 all the way to 2014 and was based on the following book. Now, when I read this page from the book, "Shut up! What's wrong?" asked Martha. "You talk too much," yelled Father. "You never stop," yelled Mother. "Sometimes I wish you had never learned to talk." Martha was crushed.
All around me are familiar faces.
I knew I had to talk about it because, ouch my heart. So when I first saw that, my initial reaction was, wow, the book was much harsher than the show.
Sometimes I wish you never learned to speak.
But I was wrong. They did it there too. I think this is the perfect place to start. Let's talk in depth about the first episode. The series appropriately starts right before Martha learns to speak, so we get to see that event play out. Helen, the little girl, has to eat her lunch before she can go out and play, so she gives her alphabet soup to the dog, which, as the theme song and show repeatedly reminds us, is how Martha learned to speak. Weirdly enough, Martha was not fazed by the fact that she could speak and accurately guesses that it was the alphabet soup that caused this. After Martha makes that assumption about the soup, an assumption, if you will, the science man from the theme song pauses the show to give the same spiel he gave in the theme song, but in a non-musical way. On the way to Martha's stomach, the letters lost their way, they traveled to her brain, and now she's got a lot to say. But then he goes on to say, "But Martha is the only dog this happened to, so don't go feeding your dog alphabet soup," which I think is hilarious that PBS Kids had to cover all their bases with that one. But then he goes on even further and says, "But it won't work, unless your dog is a cartoon." This is how my fascination with the scientist started, because I think it's so eerie that he's aware that he's not real. How is he not freaking out? Alright, we're gonna move on from him for now, because I have a couple of theories on who I think he is. So after all that's cleared up, we see a bunch of people's shocked reactions to Martha speaking, which actually amuses Martha's family greatly. And as this montage is playing out, I'm actually really surprised they didn't go the whole, "we need to keep our talking dog a secret" route. The family literally does not care. I guess PBS Kids also couldn't have two shows that were about their main characters teaching us words and having to keep a special ability a secret. Unlike Wordgirl, Martha is an open book based on an open book. After that joyous montage of a few days of fun, the incident happens, where they yell at Martha to stop talking because they hate her. Well, they don't exactly say that, but dude, it was brutal! This sends Martha into what seems like a literal depression where she doesn't talk, she doesn't bark, and she doesn't eat. The family notices this and feels bad, but they don't apologize or talk to her about what happened. They just look at her sadly and go, "Oh, Martha."
Oh, Martha.
That's not an apology, you bitch!
The parents decide, hey, since the dog is making us sad, let's see a movie without her. So they leave Martha alone, and then a burglar breaks in. I'm not even kidding. And guess what? There's a lot of crime in this series, just you wait. Martha tries to scare the burglar away, but then realizes she can't talk anymore. Ruh-roh. Yeah, it turns out she has to eat that alphabet soup every day or else she cannot retain the ability to speak. Luckily, she gets her paws on another can of alphabet soup, calls the police, and the burglar is caught. It's at this point, when the family gets back from the movie and sees the good job that Martha did, that Helen apologizes to her. Not even the parents, just Helen. "I guess we'll let you talk if you snitch on the criminals trying to break our shit." I wrote the following in my bullet point list. "I'm gonna be a burglar and steal Martha away because she already deserves better." Luckily, the family grows a lot in this series. And by grow, I mean they get another dog. His name is Skits, and when they try to give him alphabet soup, he does not gain the ability to speak, and they get so disappointed that they make Skits upset. So they went from acting like an asshole to Martha because she knew how to speak, to treating Skits like shit because he didn't know how to speak. Worst character development ever. So they got Skits because Helen's friend TD found him, but TD couldn't keep him because his dad's a simp. Super allergic to puppies. So I was actually super excited to see Skits as a puppy for a few seasons, but then Martha tells him to grow up, and then there's this time skip where he does.
Grow up. Wow, that was fast.
listen, this could just be a joke. Or maybe she gained the ability to time travel by eating a clock. My dog ate my clock? Not clickbait? Gee, I wonder why this video got demonetized. In season 1, episode 3A, Martha Takes the Cake, we see the theme song scientist dude once again. He pauses the show like he does last time, this time to give us context on why Helen and JD are dreading going to their friend Alice's party. She's apparently really clumsy. The scientist gives us some examples of this on his Giving Context TV, but I still don't think her giving an invite deserved this reaction.
My birthday party! Oh no!
JD actually stands for Jesus, dude. Remember how I said Martha loses the ability to speak if she doesn't eat alphabet soup every day? Well, we actually get to learn more about the Alphabet Soup Company in the episode Martha Blah Blah Blah. Granny Flo, the new lady in charge of the Alphabet Soup Company, fired half her employees, so half of the letters are now just gone from the alphabet soup. This decision led to Martha's ability to speak being very limited because there's less letters in her brain. This is also very interesting because it implies that there's a monopoly on alphabet soup. This led me down a very weird rabbit hole because while there's no actual monopoly on alphabet soup, of course, I found this article of someone just spiraling because Campbell's alphabet soup doesn't exist. They apparently call it Campbell's A to Z's, which I can confirm is the name on the can. They didn't talk about this in the article, but I also got Chef Boyardee's. Chef Boyardee's nuts. And they also don't call it alphabet soup. They call it mini ABCs and 1, 2, 3s with meatballs. They blame the Mandela effect. I blame nothing. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. The nerve of me to be like, I don't care about this. This is silly. I'm making a video essay about Martha Speaks. Back to Martha Speaks, there was another episode where the Alphabet Soup Company had new competition called Oodles and O's, where it was just O's in the soup, and my little pea brain was like, wait, isn't that actually real? And I remembered SpaghettiOs existed. Neato. Anyway, this world doesn't just have SpaghettiOs, it has Assholios. From Ronald and his cat Nelson to Mrs. Dempson.
Must be one of those new things, like the rap music.
Wow! Alright, so she's obviously supposed to be a Karen. We also have Kablooey and Gimme, two notorious thieves that Martha not only catches in episode 3, but she also howls for all the dogs in the neighborhood to fuck their shit up.
A little excessive, bitch.
But the two villains with the funnest episodes are Otis Weaselgraft and Pablum. Side note, the first time I heard Pablum, I thought they said Pavlov, and I was like, fuck yeah, I hate that dead guy. Considering what that asshole did, it would make sense for a show to use Pavlov as like a villain to dogs. So Otis and Pablum's first appearance was in season 1, episode 7, Perfectly Martha, where they pretend they're dog trainers, but they're actually hypnotizing a bunch of dogs with dog collars. Martha, of course, thwarts their plans, but now they have a new evil purpose. They want to kidnap Martha because I'm not sure if you know this, but Martha speaks, so. In season 1, episode 10B, Otis and Pablum break into Martha's house, replace the English alphabet soup with Polish alphabet soup, which from what I googled doesn't actually exist, but get this, there is a Greek alphabet soup. Anyway, after they switch the alphabet soups, they wait for Martha to eat it, thereby learning Polish in the process. Which really doesn't make sense because it was explained that Martha knew English before she ate the alphabet soup. Like, she understood English. I thought she just gained the ability to speak, but apparently, like, she can learn languages this way. Duolingo's not gonna be happy about this one. So yeah, Martha knows Polish for the day. After that happens, one of the evildoers comes in, dressed up as an old Polish lady, claiming that Martha was actually her dog before she was taken away, and her old name was Sasha, and it's the most convoluted plan ever. And it obviously didn't work, but it's the perfect segue into talking about other times Martha gained new abilities by eating. In Martha Sings, Martha wakes up and can't stop singing. Oh, I can't stop singing. Make it stop. Make it stop. And by the way, she's a really good vocalist. And can I just say, there is music sprinkled throughout the series, like very little, but when they do, it always goes so hard. Listen to this song. I'm sorry, you gotta listen to this.
Here comes Carl with the meat. Maybe he'll give me a treat. The buns are baked fresh every day from whole grain flour, they say. There's fresh fruit and salad too. It's good for me and it's good for you, so come to Burger Boy. Come to Burger Boy. Come to Burger Boy. Come to Burger Boy.
I'm gonna do the worm. No, I'm not. Okay. Yeah! Are there any other adults that just like songs from kid shows, I'm a weird enigma. Like, I kind of want to, like, get really drunk and just jam to PBS Kids songs. Freaking, like, have you guys listened to the music from My Little Pony Friendship is Magic? I'm sorry. I'm gonna get cyberbullied, but at this point, I just gotta do me. What were we talking about? Okay, Martha couldn't stop singing because she ate part of Helen's homework that was sheet music. This entire time, I'm racking my brain trying to come up with some kind of musical soup or musical food, but it transcends soup, dude. She can eat what the heck ever. Wait a second, sorry. Martha is able to talk to most animals. The two exceptions that really stuck out to me was she was unable to talk to a monkey and she was unable to talk to a giraffe. Does this imply that she's eaten part of these animals in order to communicate with them? I wouldn't even be surprised at this point because she's 1000% a carnivore and eats shit out of the trash all the time. I'll let you guys think about that one for a second, but in the episode Martha's Best Worst Day, Martha begins to say the opposite of what she means to. Now, I actually had a prediction as I was watching this. I was very confident in it. Here it is.
Prediction, I think the alphabet soup was expired.
And here's my reaction when I was very, very wrong.
It was because she opened the can on the bottom.
Honestly, I stand by this being too weird. The lesson that they say at the end of the episode verbatim is always follow the directions on soup. They're there for your protection. You know what would have made this lesson make sense?
If it were about the expiration date.
In the episode Thou Callest Me a Dog, Otis and Pablum are trying to make money with theater. Specifically by putting on a Shakespeare show. Okay, yeah, there's definitely a big market for that, and not just the tiny demographic of actors trying to stroke their wiener dogs. Anyway, why I mention this, though, is that Martha began to speak in Shakespearean after accidentally eating someone's copy of Hamlet.
I wonder if it tasted like ham.
Also, I feel like I'm starting to catch on. Is it just anything with scripture that goes straight to her brain? Because it can't just be all food that goes to her brain. She would have to take a big brain shit. It's like brain fart's more aggressive cousin. In the episode Martha Questions, Otis and Pablum add question marks to the alphabet soup, and guess what happens? Oh my god, that's right. Martha can't stop asking questions. So here's my theory. Everyone in the first episode was yelling at Martha because she wouldn't stop talking, but maybe she couldn't stop talking because they didn't put any periods in the soup. No one wants filthy period soup. That sounds like something Bella Delphine would sell. Ew. But this raises the question, if there were exclamation points in the soup, would she be yelling what she says? But what is an exclamation point other than an upside down eye? Guess Martha's brain would still figure it out, considering even the orientation of the can matters so much. Needless to say, the universe of this show is fascinating. In some ways, it pushes mundane capitalistic shit like getting a job. Oh boy, here we go. There's so many episodes where Martha dreams about her in a certain job and then her immediately getting that job. Telemarketer, therapy dog, radio host, and fire dog, to name a few. Most successfully, in the episode The Puppy Show, Martha was tasked to write a show for puppies, and one of the ideas that was thrown around were these super pups, and one of the super pups' powers was chasing their tail so hard a tornado appeared, and I'm sorry, can I have that show? Least successfully, she was a substitute teacher. Now, the way they choose substitute teachers is they have a list of random people to call when the teacher's absent, and they just don't check their credentials. This is how Martha was chosen to be a substitute despite not even knowing what attendance is. At best, they have a very unproductive day, and at worst, they can be put in serious danger. Speaking of danger, this world is also incredibly supernatural beyond just having a talking dog, in a way that gives me the heebie-jeebies slightly. There's an urban legend that exists in their town of this monster called Big Minnie, and she's just very casually real. We figure this out in season 1 from Martha talking to her, but we only see her shadow. We don't actually see her until season 6, and well, she's very nice. The idea of a giant opossum just scares the shit out of me. I don't know what it is. Before we move on, let me address one of the weirdest episodes, Virtually Martha. This entire episode is my least favorite trope. It was all a dream. Or is it? No. Which is it? Basically, Martha banged on some keyboard keys and got sucked into a computer. And the entire time, I'm like, this is not happening. So she wakes up. I'm like, okay, it was a dream, whatever. But then this happens.
Somebody here order steaks online?
Online steaks? You don't think?
But that literally does not make sense because in the dream, Helen is actively helping her throughout the entire time. Like, Helen is aware that Martha's in the computer. But when Martha wakes up, Helen acts like nothing happened. So like, was part of the dream real and part of the dream not? Shut up. The only way I believe that Martha was stuck in a computer or could speak in binary is if she ate part of the computer and that didn't happen. Something else I wasn't really thrilled about was Martha's character inconsistencies after season 1. For example, one episode she befriends a cat and says she's gonna work on her cat prejudice, and then the next season she's even meaner to cats. Also, and this one really stuck out to me, there are multiple episodes of Martha loving music, loving singing. She's all about it. But then in the poetry episode with Billy Collins, she says, oh, poetry is just like singing without all that annoying music. When did this shift happen?
Why won't you sing?
Because singing killed my grandma, okay? Leave me alone.
After this, I'm going to talk about some theories and episodes that make my head spin, but before I do that, I need to talk to you guys about something I didn't anticipate, which is how hard the series is to find in its entirety. The best streaming service, number of episodes-wise, is Amazon Prime. They have 95 out of 96 episodes, but the way you get them is so weird. You have to pay extra for PBS, which is not very public broadcasting service of them. And on top of that, they're also very out of order, which just grinded my gears and seems like too much work, so I passed on that. If you go on YouTube, it says they have 3 seasons available to pay for, but when you actually look at the number of episodes and the titles, they only have 40 episodes and they're all from season 1. Apple TV just takes you to iTunes to pay for them. Why do we pay for streaming services? And that's a similar situation. They only have 59 out of 96 episodes. The Google Play Store has 50, completely out of order, of course. I was able to find 62 out of 96 in order on the deep web, which is more episodes than any streaming service besides Prime, but it was also $187.96 cheaper. Like, I'm sorry, before we talk about the lore again, can we just talk about how Amazon Prime wanted me to spend $200 to watch Martha Speaks? I know you thank us for contributions from viewers like you, but that is a contribution I cannot take part in. So Martha Speaks usually starts with a cold open about the words we're gonna hear / learn about, and usually I completely disregard it. But if we were to look at it as part of the canon, it seems all of the characters are aware they're in this show.
Mr. Director, background number 201G, please. Can you put the stars in? Whoa!
In this cold open, we hear Martha address a director. I wonder who that could be. I'm sorry, I'm fixated on it, but here's my theories on who I think this guy could be. So TD's dad is actually an inventor. He's pretty kooky and his inventions are out there, such as a mirror that shows you what you would look like with different hair lengths, a sandwich you could read, a book you could eat. Who better to create these nonsensical inventions than someone that knows that their existence is a lie? Nothing matters. Might as well make this stupid shit. So why would he look so different? Why would he show us things that are happening now on his little TV? Meanwhile, he looks so much older. Well, perhaps the series of events in Martha Speaks isn't the present. Maybe his little TV device is actually a flashback machine. In fact, at the very end of the episode Truman's Secret, we actually see a shot of the future, which shows how non-linear this show is and how much it plays with time. Wait, oh my god, even their shirts have the same color schemes. Come on now. Let me address the 2 major problems in this theory. So TD's dad's voice is actually incredibly high-pitched, and the scientist sounds like this.
On the way to Martha's stomach.
Luckily, WebMD explains that beyond puberty, the voice can continue to get lower because as you age and as you're an elderly person, muscles lose mass, and this includes the muscles in the voice box, leading to a more low, gravelly voice.
So this is still plausible.
Now, there's one more glaring issue that really bothers me. So I was drawing connections to color schemes in the shirt, right? But there's one character that actually has almost the exact shirt, like to a T, way closer than TD's dad has. This makes me so mad. Helen's dad is not cool enough to become the scientist, but I can't ignore this. They have the same shirt. And they both wear glasses. Fuck. Allow me to go on 2 tiny tangents before we continue this scientist theory thing, because I have one more suspect on who I think the scientist could be. You know, the most minor character that no one else would give a shit about. Season 4 was the only season to have guest stars as themselves, which I thought was really interesting. It makes the Martha Speaks world and our world seem more connected. These 3 guest stars are poet laureate Billy Collins in Billy Collins Speaks, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson in Eyes on the Skies, and Jennifer Garner in Too Many Marthas. Second and last tiny tangent is in the April Fool's episode, the nerdy, lovable Truman's jokes kind of suck. But can I show you this clip and make a quick PSA?
April Fools! Instead of 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, I put in 2!
Don't mess around with nutmeg! Oh my god! I'm not even joking, it's toxic. And not social media, we should cancel them toxic. Nutmeg could seriously harm you and lead to symptoms of delirium, dizziness, nausea, trouble breathing that could lead to hospitalization or death. That is if you give a high enough dose. Okay, so this website says 1 to 3 teaspoons is too much. Let's Let's hear how much he put in.
Instead of 1 tablespoon of nutmeg, I put in 2.
Oh, it's 2 in the whole pie, so that's probably fine. It's just kind of weird that this show puts a huge disclaimer on, like, don't give your dogs alphabet soup, but they're throwing around nutmeg like it's nothing. Alright, so the second contender to be the scientist dude is TD. If it's not his dad, it's him, I swear. He's bored of real life easily. He's very lonely, as seen in the episode Truman's Brother, where he completely forgets that he has a sister because she's away at college. And Neil deGrasse Tyson exclaimed that he thought TD would be a great scientist because of his huge imagination. In fact, his imagination can take the length of an entire episode, as seen in Dinosaur vs. Bulldozer. Which, dude, that episode faked me out so badly. Let me just explain the plot. Dinosaur vs. Bulldozer starts off with the kids arguing about who would win in a fight, a dinosaur or a bulldozer, which I think is just wild, because obviously a dinosaur would win. If you disagree with me, honestly, fight me in the comments right now. We then find out that TD's dad invented a time machine and pulled a dinosaur out of it. So as I was watching, I was like, oh my god, score, even more evidence that TD's dad is the scientist dude. But remember, none of this is real. And you know what should have cued me into the fact that this isn't actually real in their universe? Martha started talking to not only just the dinosaur, but in this TD's imagination land world, Martha was also talking to the fucking bulldozer. I was short-circuiting. I was like, maybe because bull, like she can speak to bulls, half dozer. Wait a second, this is bull. Anyway, if you're wondering who won in that fight, it was a tie. Worst episode ever. Back to TD and his imagination, we see him interested in the concept of time travel again in season 5, episode 1, Puppy Skits. Specifically, his fascination with wormholes and how time and space are connected. Something else kind of cool to note is that his dad was having these same thoughts beside him.
Einstein's theory of relativity says that wormholes are possible, even though no one has ever really seen one.
So it's really a toss-up for me between those two who could be the scientist. Well, wasn't that fun? Have a great day, butt lovers. Bye! Da, 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 da.